Welcome to Gunsmoke Theater. I'm Dennis Daly. Very few radio or television programs had such an impact on their medium that they changed everything. One of those shows was Gunsmoke. Yes, it ran 20 years on television, but the TV show was a child of the radio show, which itself ran nearly a decade. Sit back now for the next hour as we go back into the archives and play some of those great episodes of the show that changed everything, Gunsmoke. As we continue our examination of Gunsmoke, how it developed and grew and changed in texture over its 9-year run, we move on now to the second year, 1953, and a very inventive episode from May of that year.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Cigar, Miss Kitty?
You know I don't smoke in public, Chester.
Oh, excuse me. Mr. Dillon?
Thanks, Chester. Yeah, I believe I will.
You know, for a Cowtown restaurant, this place serves the toughest steak I ever ate.
Oh, you should have had the calf fries, Kitty.
Next time, I certainly will.
Hey, that reminds me. When are we going fishing, Mr. Dillon? You said last week we might take a day off soon.
All right. How about now, this afternoon?
You mean it?
Well, sure. You want to go, Kitty?
Oh, thanks, Matt, but there's a new girl at the Texas Trail. I told her I'd help her make a dress today. I'm late now.
Oh? Well, I'll have to drop by the office first, Chester.
All right.
If you want any help eating those fish, let me know.
You know how to cook catfish?
You bet I do.
We'll be around then.
Hey, Mr. Dillon, look at those men down there by the jail.
Huh?
Now, what's so curious about a wagon load of buffalo hides, I wonder?
Maybe they got a white one.
If they have, I want it. See you later, Matt. Chester?
So long,
Miss
Kitty.
Kitty.
This your wagon, mister?
No, Gatliff's. I skinned for him.
Oh, what are you doing here? What's the crowd for?
Just curious. The other Skinner got hurt, and we brought him into the dock.
Oh? What happens? He hurt bad?
Bad enough. Gatliff didn't see any sense in bringing him into town at all. Me and the cook, we made him, though.
Oh?
Here's Gatliff now.
Chester, go up to Doc's. Maybe I can help, huh?
All right, sir.
How is he?
Doc will take care of everything, Toby.
Never mind that. How is he?
Dead. Now, let's drive these hides on down the shed. I want to get them sold and pick up our supplies. Come on.
Just a minute, Gatliff.
Some other time, Marshal. I'm busy.
So am I. But you come into my office anyway. I want to talk to you.
All this busy, bothering people.
That's my office right over there.
You and the cook go get them hides unloaded, Toby. I'll be right along.
Yeah.
Now, what do you want, Marshal?
You new around here, Gatliff?
Any log in it?
It depends. What happened to your Skinner?
Billy? He hurt himself, that's all.
He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah, he's dead.
Look, Gatliff, anything you don't want to tell me, I can ask Doc about.
There's nothing to tell, Marshal. He got hurt and he died, that's all.
When did he get hurt?
Last night.
And why didn't you bring him in last night?
Them other fellers, the cook and Toby, they figured he was done for anyway and didn't want to bother, I guess.
Is that so? You're the boss, aren't you?
Sure I am. But you know how men are when they get out in camp, Marshal. You don't want to push them too far. They get touchy, kind of.
What happened to him, Gatliff? How'd he get hurt?
I don't rightly know, Marshal. He was alone in camp, and when we got there, he'd gone and burnt himself.
Burned? Burned with what?
Hot lead, Marshal. Spilt it all over him.
Oh, you mean lead for bullets, huh?
That's it. Cooking up lead in a fry pan. That was one of Billy's chores, to make my bullets. He always was a mite clumsy. He sure messed himself up this time.
There must have been a lot of lead.
50, 60 pound, I reckon.
Oh, there you are, Mr. Gatliff. Doc Adams is looking for you.
What did he want?
Well, see, that man of yours, Doc's all through with him. He says you can bury him now.
Oh, no. I ain't paying for no burial. He's just a skinner I hired. Don't even know his last name.
You're his boss, aren't you? You brought him in.
And that's all I'm going to do for him. I ain't paying you $1. Not $1.
Nobody's asking you to pay me. But you can't just leave the man in Doc's office. Somebody's got to bury him.
He's just a bum who worked for me. He's not my father.
Oh, all the stingy
Hold it,
things
Chester. All right, Gatliff. We'll take care of him. You can go now.
He's caused me trouble enough. I don't want to hear any more about him ever.
Well, that's about the most unfeeling man I ever did come across.
What about that Skinner, Chester? Tell me.
Oh, I swear it was terrible, Mr. Dillon. He was burned all over his head and his face and across his chest. Doc said he don't know how that fellow lived as long as he did.
Could he talk?
Doc told me he couldn't say a word.
Well, how do you suppose it happened?
Why, hot lead. Had a whole pan full of it, from what I hear.
Yeah, 50 or 60 pounds of it.
That much? Well, I can believe it.
I can't. What man's going to pick up 60 pounds of molten lead and spill it in his own face? That's the most stupid story I ever heard.
Well, say now, I hadn't thought of that. Mr. Dillon, you're right.
Of course, there's another way it could have happened.
What's that?
Somebody could have pushed his face down into it.
Oh, my goodness. Who?
I don't know. Gatliff, or maybe Toby. You know where Toby went?
Well, no, I don't. But him and the cook probably went over to the Alfraganza to drink up their wages.
All right. Go do something about burying that man, Chester, will you? I'll be back later.
All right, sir. I'll tend to it.
Where's the cook, Toby?
Oh, hello, Marshal. Cook, he went to get him some boots while he still had the money.
Come on over to a table. I'll buy you a drink.
You will? I mean, sure, Marshal, sure.
Sam, set out a bottle of rye and another glass, will you?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Yeah.
Here you are.
Thank you.
Well, here's to your friend, Billy.
He's no friend of mine, but he died a bad death. I'll drink to him.
Tell me something, Toby. How did he and Gatliff get on?
You see Gatliff's eyes, Marshal?
Yeah, I did.
He's got powder specks shot into them. They look like turkey eggs.
Yeah?
You don't get on with a man like that.
Yeah. Well, why do you work for him, then?
Marshal, I get 25 cents a hide, and I can skin over 20 buffalo a day. But I've worked for hunters who couldn't kill enough to keep up with me. Gatliff's a good hunter. And that's the only reason at all I work for him.
Not if he's such a good hunter, how come I've never seen him in Dodge before?
And your man's greedy, Marshal. He's downright wicked about money. He figures he can save time and make more money by selling his hides to buyer's agents on the prairie.
Yeah.
He gets less out there, but he can kill and sell more that way. That Gatliff never stops killing buffalo.
He came in with a load of hides today.
Just 'cause we made him come in with Billy. And another thing, we've been out 4 months, Marshal. He must owe Billy $800.
Oh?
Yeah, most hunters would have split that with the crew, but not Gatliff. He like to took my head off when I mentioned
Hey,
it.
want another drink?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Tell me about the accident, huh?
Well, Billy was melting lead in a fry pan, and the way I figured he must have tripped somehow, fallen smack into it, and when we rode in, we found him rolling around on the ground. That's all I know.
When who rode in?
Me and the cook. The cook skins on days Billy's making bullets.
Now, where was Gatliff?
Oh, he went in just ahead of us.
How long ahead of you?
Not long, maybe about 20 minutes.
Then he found Billy first, is that it?
Yeah, so he did. Hey, I hadn't thought of that before, Marshal. So that's why you've been asking so many questions.
Well, I wasn't sure, Toby, but I expect you're telling the truth. The cook backed up your story.
Sure, I'm telling the truth. That's what happened, all right. Yeah, Gatliff killed him. He murdered him.
Any idea why he would?
Well, sure I do. There's only one thing Gatliff wants, and that's money. He killed Billy just so you wouldn't have to pay him his wages due.
Yeah, maybe.
Why don't you arrest him, Marshal?
There's no real evidence, Toby, none at all. And it's bad for the law if I arrest a man and later he goes free. Unless he's innocent, of course.
He ain't innocent.
How come this didn't occur to you before, Toby?
Why, I don't know, Marshal. I sure don't.
You going back out on the prairie with him?
Oh, I ain't afraid of him. I'll be sleeping with one eye open from now on. It'd be a pleasure to kill him after what he done. Self-defense, of course, Marshal.
Yeah. But if you let on you're suspicious, he'll sure try to kill you.
Not me. He can do his killing on somebody else.
The cook, maybe?
No, I ain't even going to tell the cook.
Yeah. You'll be leaving in the morning, I suppose.
About dawn, I reckon, soon as Gatliff hires a new skinner.
Now, the bottle's yours, Toby.
Oh?
And, good luck.
Well, I sure do. Thank you, Marshal.
Later in the day, Chester and a couple of other men buried Billy out on the hill. As Toby said, he died a bad death, and it was made worse by the men who'd done it to him, going scot-free. But I figured anybody as greedy as Gatliff would someday overplay his hand, and I hoped I'd be there when he did. The next morning, Chester told me he'd heard that they'd left Dodge. That afternoon, we went off fishing. When we got back, Kitty cooked up our catch for supper, and she did a real good job of it.
Yeah, that was fine, Miss Kitty, just fine.
Anytime, Chester. You catch 'em and I'll cook 'em.
Say, do you know how to make antelope stew
I've made it.
and sourdough biscuits?
Of course.
Oh, my goodness.
Chester, you sound like you're about to propose.
Oh, my gracious. No, Mr. Dillon, my.
Why, Chester, I always kind of hoped.
Well, I didn't mean. Well, that is. I mean, well, mercy. Well, who'd marry me anyway?
You ever ask anyone to, Chester?
Well, yes, ma'am. Once I did.
Well, what'd she say?
She said she would. She said yes.
Oh, what happened?
Marshal Dillon here.
Yeah, come on in, mister.
They sent me after you, Marshal. Nestor camp across the river.
Oh, what's the trouble?
Man got knifed over there. Killed.
Oh, was it just a fight or what?
They don't know who knifed him, Marshal.
Come on, Chester. Thanks for the supper, Kitty.
Sure, Matt.
He was knifed in the back, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. But nobody saw it happen.
No, sir. Looks like somebody got clean away with murder.
Well, hello there.
Marshal Dillon?
That's right. What can I do for you, son?
That man that's dead.
Oh, what about it? Well, go ahead. You can tell me.
I saw him get stabbed, Marshal.
You did? Well, where were you?
I was looking for berries over there. I heard them arguing, and I sneaked up just after he'd done it. They were all alone.
Who was the man, son? Did you know him?
No, sir, but he was big and kind of dirty looking. He had a buckskin shirt.
Anything else you remember?
He had funny eyes, Marshal. They had spots in them.
It's Gatlip, Chester.
Yeah, I declare it sounded like him, sure enough.
Son, how come you didn't tell anybody about what you saw?
I was afraid to, till you came, Marshal.
Why, it's all right. But in case I want to find you later sometime, what's your name?
Yorkie Kelly.
All right, I won't forget that, Yorkie. And thanks for telling me about this.
Oh, sure, Marshal, any time.
Well, I hope there won't be a next time, Yorkie. Goodbye.
So long, Marshal.
Goodbye.
I guess it was Gatlip, all right.
Yeah.
Seems like a dangerous sort of man to be running loose.
No, I got him now, Chester. As soon as I find him.
I hope so, Mr. Dillon. I certainly do hope so.
Since Gatlip would figure nobody had seen him, it wasn't likely that he'd run. And anyway, there wasn't much sense in trying to track him down in the dark. So Chester and I didn't start out until the next morning. Ordinarily, a man would ride into the prairie and disappear. But with Gatlip, it was a little different. At least we knew he'd be somewhere around Buffalo. It was late afternoon before we reached good hunting grounds, and almost dark when we spotted the first hunter's camp.
We just gonna ride right up to him, Mr. Dillon?
Now, this isn't Gatlip. He had mules. This man's got horses.
Yeah, that's right.
Keep your eyes open just the same, Chester.
Oh, yes, sir.
Get down, stranger.
Thank you.
Supper will be ready. Cook, throw some more tongue in that stew pot. Don't like buffalo tongue. You'll go mighty hungry in this camp.
Oh, thanks, mister.
Hey, you're a lawman.
Matt Dillon. I'm a U.S. Marshal.
My name's Tom Mercer.
How are you? This is Chester Proudfoot.
How'd you do?
Mr. Mercer?
Come over by the wagon, sit down. Supper'll take a little longer now. Anyway, my skinners won't be in for a while yet.
Well, how you doing, Mr. Mercer?
Oh, fair, Marshal, fair. Had a stand of about 100 today. Killed every one of them but a couple of old bulls.
Oh?
That's why the boys are out so late.
Have you been here long?
About a month. Move on in a couple of weeks. I don't know, Marshal. I think this whole southern herd's going to be clean wiped out for long. Next year I'm going to Dakota.
Too many hunters, maybe, huh?
That's just it. That's it, exactly.
Have you seen any in the last day or two, Mr. Mercer?
Just who you looking for, Marshal?
Man named Gatlip. Big man. Speckled eyes.
What's he done?
You know him?
No, I don't. Nobody's come near us in over a week.
You're not much help. Except for that stew the cook's making.
Oh, you like that. We're having dried apples, too.
Oh?
I mighty near could eat a buffalo raw, the entire beast.
You must be part Indian.
Well, no, sir.
I've seen one of them eat a whole liver raw. Got propped up against a tree and ate every bit of it and then went sound asleep right there in the sun. He was sure some sight.
Where'd you ever get that close to an Indian?
Oh, Indians ain't always bad. Take last fall, about 20 of them rode right down into our camp. We thought we was done for, sure, but you know what happened? They were looking for meat, that's all. We let them take what they wanted, they rode away. Just as peaceful like as a man could ask.
They're going to get real hungry when the herd's gone.
That's so, Marshal. That is surely so. That's what makes them mad.
Don't you think that's reason enough?
Fella told me a couple of weeks ago he run into a bunch west of here. They was looking for scalps, all right, but
good buffalo man with his old Sharps 50 can pick off Indians at 1,500 yards. Ain't no match for him at all.
Not unless they stalk him.
Oh, they've done that, sure. Hey, here come the Skinners. Let's go get outside some of that stew.
Good.
All of it. Don't you ever feed this man, Marshal?
Only when he works, Mr. Mercer.
Oh, now, Mr. Dillon.
We spent the night in Tom Mercer's camp. And at dawn, just after breakfast, we said goodbye and rode on west. There was a lot of country out there, and all we could do was ride through it till we ran into him. In the next 2 days, we met plenty of hunters, but we didn't find Gatliff. About noon of the third day, we cut the trail of a wagon train and figured that it'd be that of a hide buyer's agent who'd come into the field to do business on the spot. And an hour or two later, we saw him. A long string of ox-drawn wagons piled high with buffalo hides. And there was a man on horseback leading the train. We rode up to him.
Hello there.
Well, that's quite a load you got, mister.
10,000 so far. But what are you doing way out here, Marshal?
I'm looking for a hunter named Gatliff. You know him?
Sure I do. Just picked up a load from his rick early this morning. Is he in trouble?
Yeah, he sure is. Where is he?
Straight south here a couple of miles. Can't tell you exactly. He moves around a lot.
Well, that's close enough for us. Thanks a lot, mister.
Sure, Marshal. I never did like him anyway.
There's an empty rick over yonder. That must be it.
Yeah, but he's moved his camp.
Not far if it was just this morning.
Chester, what's that out there?
Where?
Hey, that looks like a man. Come on. There.
Well, Mr. Dillon, it's that Skinner of his.
Get some water, Chester.
Yes.
Toby? Toby, can you hear me? He's been shot.
Yes, sir. Here's the water.
Yeah.
Oh.
Toby? It's Marshal Dillon.
Give me a drink.
Here you are.
He shot me, Marshal.
Oh, what happened? Where's the rest of the crew?
They run off. He took his wagon and the horses. He went kind of crazy when he found out. That's why he shot me.
You know where he is now?
No, I don't know, Marshal. He shot me, and then he said he was going hunting. He's going loco. Going loco.
Now, take it easy, Toby. Take it easy. You'll be all right.
I could hear him shooting at Sharps a long time. And then he stopped.
Well, where was he? Which way?
Off. Behind me there. I could hear him.
Chester, you stay with him. I'm going after Gatliff.
All right, sir.
Off in the direction Toby had indicated, there lay a large, isolated hollow surrounded by low ridges. When I reached it, I dismounted, and I crawled up to where I could look down into it. There was no sign of Gatliff, but lying on the prairie floor were the bodies of countless fresh-killed buffalo. It was a strange sight. The old bulls, the cows, the little calves lying there blackening the prairie grass. I got up and stood, looking at it for a long time. And then suddenly, out in the middle, I thought I saw a slight movement. And a second later, there came the familiar boom of a Sharps 50. And I dropped behind a ridge and waited. And then, Chester rode up.
Have you found him, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah.
I thought I'd better come along. You see...
Toby's dead, is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Gatliff's down there in the middle of the hollow. But we can't get anywhere near him as long as he's got that Sharp's rifle. He's killed a small herd of buffalo in there, and now he's lying out in the center of them.
Well, that's the darndest thing I ever heard of, Mr. Dillon. He must have gone crazy, just like Toby said.
Yeah.
What's he shooting at now? Mr. Dillon, the way he's spacing them shots.
Yeah, that's the signal for help, Chester. Come on.
Say, maybe this is a trap.
Be ready to take cover behind one of these animals. It might be.
Sounds like he's been hurt.
Yeah. Keep your head up.
There he is. Behind that big bull.
Yeah, I see him.
Well, Mr. Dillon, he's all...
There have been horses in here. Indians.
My goodness.
Come on. Well, that was his last effort, Chester. He's dead now.
Mr. Dillon, that's awful.
Yeah. Come on, let's get out of here. I don't know how the Indians caught Gatliff. He'd gone a little mad, and maybe that made it easy for him. But they finally got themselves a buffalo hunter. And into their unbelievably savage torture of him had gone all the hatred and desperation of a race being slowly starved and driven from their homeland. And then they'd put him there surrounded by his own bloody slaughter. And they'd gone off with a gesture of contempt, leaving his rifle and his ammunition by his side. And having seen what they did to him, I'll never know how he managed to fire even one of those shots. For all of his evil, Gatliff had died harder than any man I'd ever seen. Chester and I rode back to Dodge. And it was never mentioned between us again.
I hope you noticed there at the end that the writers back in the 1950s could get more pathos out of the theater of the mind without really saying what they could have said, but letting you understand the gory details. And that show had an all-star cast. Now our second entry this time around, again from the spring of 1953.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Trouble could start any time in Dodge, but usually it was at night that the men made their play along Front Street, and so ordinarily I was up a good part of the night and did my sleeping in the morning. It was a rare thing for me to be out in the early day, and for some reason it worried Chester.
I just don't understand why you couldn't sleep, Mr. Dillon, unless you had the colic or something.
I feel fine, Chester. Just got a few things to take care of at the bank, that's all.
Yes, I know, but the bank's open all day.
You know what they always say, Chester. It's the early bird that catches the worm.
Yeah. My ma used to tell us that one about being healthy, wealthy, and wise. She used to root us out of bed every morning at daylight on account of it.
It's a good saying.
Yeah. I don't know whatever become of my brothers, but I'm sure not living in a very big house.
Maybe you ought to come in here more often.
I got no business with the bank, Mr. Dillon. Well, morning, Mr. Fogg.
Morning, Chester. Morning, Mr. Dillon.
Morning, Fogg. I'll be over there in a minute as soon as I straighten this stuff out.
Good morning, Marshal.
Good morning, Mr. Pap.
You taking money out, Marshal, or putting it in?
Neither, Mr. Pap. This is government business.
Oh, I see.
Who are those men, Marshal?
What?
I say, who are those men?
I never saw him before.
That one in the middle holding the envelope. He seemed pretty excited about something.
Certainly, sir. What can I do for you?
I want a loan of money immediately.
Well, we'll do what we can, sir. First of all, how much do you want?
$20,000.
20. Mr. Pat.
Yes?
Excuse me, Martin. Gentlemen, this is our president. You'll have to talk with him.
I heard you say $20,000, gentlemen. That's a lot of money. What do you have for collateral?
My collateral, sir, is right here in this envelope. You may look at it, but don't reveal it to these other gentlemen.
These playing cards.
Don't name them.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Well, I've been in a poker game at the Texas Trail all night long. Right now, there's about $40,000 in that pot. There are some good hands out. I've put every cent I have into it already. Now, they've given me just 20 minutes to come up with more money.
Well, I certainly wish you luck, sir, but I never heard of
You've seen my hand in that envelope. You can lend me the money on that.
But surely, sir, you don't expect the bank to enter a gambling game.
Now, these gentlemen are also in the game. They came along to see that those cards aren't changed. The other men are watching the table at the Texas Trail. It's all fair and square, I assure you.
Well, gentlemen,
I'll gladly pay you 10% interest, sir.
You've only got 5 minutes left, Hook.
Come along, gentlemen. We'll step in the back office.
Well, now that's about the craziest thing I ever did here.
He must have a pretty good hand, Chester.
I know, sir, but you don't think Mr. Pap's going to let him have $20,000 on it?
It certainly looks that way. Yeah, there we are. I'll take care of this and we'll get out of here. This is government stuff, Fogg. You know what to do with it.
Certainly, Mr. Dillon. Now, let me see.
Marshal, I want you to come with me.
What?
These gentlemen, there's a poker game, and I've got the money here. I think you'd better come along just to be safe.
You mean you gave him his $20,000, Mr. Pat?
Yes, of course. Now, come over here, Marshal, I'll tell you.
All right.
Marshal, that man Hook there has 4 aces and a 10 in his hand. It's a sure thing. Why, the bank stands to make $2,000 on this loan, and it won't take but a few minutes.
You run the bank, Mr. Pat, but are you sure you ought to take a gamble with other people's money this way?
I can't lose. There's not a chance in a million. But I want you to protect this money till I get it back here.
Well, all right. I'll see nobody takes it at the point of a gun if you think that'll help.
Good. Now, you come along, then. Hook's only got a few minutes to get back in the game.
There's my money, Mr. Shaneways. I'm calling you, sir.
You must have a pretty good hand, Hook. All the trouble you've been to.
You will see it. What have you got?
5 little hearts.
All blue.
I win, sir. 4 aces.
But look at my hearts. They read 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Straight flush. Your aces lose, Hook.
Aces? Aces? How could he have a straight flush?
Got it dealt right out of the deck, Hook. Right out of the deck.
Nice pot. Had enough, but he won.
Mr. Pap, sir, I don't know what to say.
$20,000. Just like that, $20,000. It's not even my money.
Now, Mr. Pap, don't you worry, sir. I only borrowed that money. You'll have it back. You have my word as a Confederate gentleman on that.
Hook, please. Hook, I've got to have it back. It's not my money. I have to put it back in the bank. I'll be ruined if people find out
You
about
only
this.
loaned the money, sir. I lost it. Now, I'll send for it today, sir. I'll wire my agents. They'll have it on the next Santa Fe that leaves St. Louis.
No, Hook. No, I don't think that'll happen.
My word as a gentleman, sir. But you must be patient.
I shouldn't have done it. I had no right to do it.
Chester.
Yes, sir.
Go tell Doc I want to see him.
Yes, Mr. Dillon.
All right. Everybody. Now listen to me. All of you. Now, I don't want a word said about this to anyone. The bank's important to Dodge, and this could ruin it. Do you understand? We have no reason to spread. All right, then see to it. Or there'll be trouble for all of you.
Well, certainly, Marshal. No reason to threaten us. We all understand.
Mr. Pap, hold up a minute, will you? Mr. Pap?
Marshal, I should have listened to you. I'm ruined now.
Now, look, Mr. Pap. Maybe Hook's got money, I don't know, but if not, we'll figure something out. People will give you time.
No. No, they won't. As soon as they hear about this, there won't be any bank. They won't trust it anymore.
But they have to. It's the only bank there is.
What'll Joanne think? My kids. I can't face it, Marshal. I just can't face it.
Now, look, you just go back to the bank and tell the cashier to keep his mouth shut about this. You just got to give it time.
Sure, Marshal. I'll go. I'll go.
Oh, Marshal. Marshal, sir. I am sorry for that man, but he has no reason to worry. I'll send for the money at once. Yeah, you do that, Mr. Hook. Send for the money. Gentlemen, what are your names?
My name's Shaneways, Marshal. Now, I'm sorry for that banker, but it's nothing to do with me. I won this money fair, and I'm keeping it.
Sure, Mr. Shaneways, of course you are. Who are you, mister?
Varden. And I agree with Shaneways. Gambling money's fair money.
Nobody's arguing that, Mr. Varden. But remember, gentlemen, what I said. Don't talk about this.
Oh, well, hey, Matt. Chester said you wanted me. What's happened? Didn't hear any shooting.
Everything's all right, Doc.
Oh, well, I see. Oh, you look familiar. Don't you?
I haven't had the pleasure, sir.
Oh, well, maybe not. No, I guess not. My mistake.
Never mind, Doc. Come on.
Yeah. Chester said he'd wait at the office, Matt.
Look, Doc, I want you to go over to the bank. Mr. Pap is pretty upset. See what you can do for him, huh? Give him a bromide or something.
Sure, Matt. What's wrong with him, anyway?
He just lost $20,000 in a poker game.
He lost 20...
And he wasn't playing. He lent the money on the strength of what looked like a good hand. That man Hook came into the bank for it with the other two.
Oh. He brought his cards along and raised the loan that way, huh?
What? How did you know?
Oh, I heard of it once, Matt. It was down in New Orleans. Oh, that was years ago.
Well, what happened?
Well, the same thing. Fella got the money and he lost it. That's all.
You mean it was fixed between him and the others?
Oh, sure, it was fixed all right.
Well, how did they find out?
Well, the fellow that borrowed the money got drunk and he talked and they put him in jail, but the others got away clean.
Look, Doc, that gray-haired man you thought you recognized, his name's Hook. Are you sure you never saw him before?
Oh, a lot of people look familiar at first glance, man. You know how did you...
Look, in New Orleans, you didn't know the men who pulled the trick on the bank, did you?
Well, people said that they'd come down on the riverboat. I was doctor on the Tennessee Belle then, but I never met them, not to my knowledge anyway.
You recall hearing their names?
Well, that was a long time ago, Matt.
Look, Doc, those three back there may have just pulled the same thing now. Hook looked familiar to you. Maybe he remembers you, too.
Well, he just said he'd never met me,
Doc,
Matt.
he could be lying.
Oh, sure, but I can't place him. I probably never saw him before.
Well, go see what you can do for Pap. He's in pretty bad shape.
Well, sure, Matt.
Gamblers were always drifting in and out of Dodge. Some of them were crooked, and some, it had been said, were honest. Ordinarily, it didn't matter much one way or the other. Most men could take care of themselves. But now the bank was involved. And the citizens of Dodge had their faith in that bank, as well as their money. I gave it a lot of thought the next hour or so, and finally I had an idea that seemed like a start anyway. I explained it to Chester, and together we went back to the Texas Trail. Shaneways and Varden were idly cutting cards, and Hook was at the bar talking to Kitty.
Hello, Matt.
Kitty?
Hi, Miss Kitty.
Do you know Mr. Hook? This is Marshall Dillon.
We met earlier.
Why, yes, indeed.
This morning?
I must have smelled trouble, Kitty. I got up early.
You're always smelling trouble, Matt.
Yeah. Leave your beer, Hook, and come with me.
What for?
Just do it.
Whatever you say, Marshal. Miss Kitty, I'll be back.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Varden, Shaneways, get up and follow Chester.
What? Is this an arrest?
Now, what would I be arresting you for, Mr. Shaneways?
What? Nothing. You've no reason.
That's right. All right, come on, let's go.
Just follow her along, please.
What is the idea of bringing us in here, Marshal?
Well, good morning, gentlemen. What can I... Oh, hello, Marshal. Chester.
Hello, Lum.
Lum, these men want their pictures taken.
Oh, no, not me. I don't.
I've got plenty of pictures.
Can you do it right away, Lum?
No, certainly can, Marshal. And, gentlemen, you'll be the very first to stand before a new drop. The ancient temples of Greece. It'll lend you dignity, power.
What's the idea of this, Marshal?
Lum's just going to take your pictures, that's all. Oh, Lum, front and side views both, huh?
Oh, certainly, Marshal, certainly.
And then, gentlemen, if you leave Dodge, any of you, it'll make it a lot easier for the law to find you and bring you back. Wherever you go.
This is outrageous. I won't stand for it.
Pardon, wait a minute. I agree the Marshal is being a little high-handed, but after all, he must protect himself in his job. But since we've done nothing wrong, we have nothing to fear.
Sure. Hook's right, Wolf Varden.
I'll go first. Are you ready, Lum?
No, right this way, sir.
Chester, you stay here and wait for the pictures. Bring them over when they're finished.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon.
I'll buy you a drink, Kitty.
Gosh, I'd like it, Matt, but I just said I'd join Hook over at his table.
Well, I'd like to talk to him, too. I'll just sit with you for a few minutes.
That's fine with me. I don't know about him, though.
I don't think he'll object. I just have time for a smoke, Mr. Hook. I didn't think you'd mind.
Why, no, of course not. You're quite welcome, Marshal.
May I buy you a drink?
No, thank you.
Marshal, I want you to know I sent for that money today, just as I promised.
Oh? You're a little late.
Late?
Mr. Pap shot himself.
He did?
You mean Mr. Pap, the banker?
Yeah.
But why, Matt? He was always seemed so quiet like.
Maybe Mr. Hook will explain it, Kitty.
Well, now, Marshal, you can't hold me responsible in any way at all.
I didn't say I could, Hook. But you seem kind of nervous about it.
Well, naturally, I'm upset. After all, that man did me a great favor.
Yeah, sure. But I don't think the people in Dodge are going to like it much when they find out. Tell me something, Mr. Hook. When were you in New Orleans last?
New Orleans?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do you ask that, Marshal?
Just curious.
Well, sir, I've never been in New Orleans. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's good enough. For now. Goodbye, Kitty. I'll drop by later.
Sure, Matt.
And, Mr. Hook, it still goes about not leaving town.
I like it here, Marshal.
Yeah. Yeah, you should. Maybe I should have arrested Hook and his friends without any evidence and just seized the $20,000 and put it back where it belonged. That might have saved people's faith in the bank, but I figured my job was to give them faith in the law, and I couldn't do it that way. I'd made it plain to Hook what I suspected, and I hoped it'd scare him into making a mistake. And it did. But I didn't learn about it until next morning when I was having breakfast at the Dodge House.
Mr. Dillon?
What?
I've been looking everywhere for you. At your room, Delmonico's, the Texas Trail, everywhere. This is the last place I hit.
Well, what is it, Chester?
Here. Look at here. Just you read that.
Marshal, we're taking Doc along. If you follow us, we'll kill him. Where'd you get this, Chester?
It was under the door when I opened up this morning. I ran up to Doc's right away, and sure enough, Mr. Dillon, he's gone.
Come on. Go check the depot and the stage line, Chester. I'll cover the livery stables.
All right, sir.
It'll take me longer, so you get our horses ready. I'll meet you at the office, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's the marshal. You're out early today.
Not early enough, Andy.
Yeah? What can I do for
I want to know if you rented out any horses last night.
you? Well, sure, a few. Why?
Did you rent 4 to anybody, 4 in a bunch?
Why, yes, I sure did. Be back today, so they said.
Who said?
Well, strangers to me. Paid me in advance, though. The greenhorn.
What time was this, Andy?
Oh, it was late. Yeah, it was way after midnight it was. Something wrong?
Yeah. Tell me, Andy, what'd they look like?
Well, one was an old fellow, gray hair. Didn't give me his name, though. I don't think I got much of a look at the other one.
You have any idea which trail they took out of town?
I know I don't. One of them said something about St. Louis. But that's not much help, is it?
It might be. Well, thanks, Andy.
Oh, one thing, Marshal.
Yeah.
If you're riding after them, those horses they got are just crowbaits. I didn't figure they could handle anything better.
By dusk, we could tell by their sign that we'd nearly caught up with them. And soon after dark, we spotted their fire. These were gentlemen, maybe, but they were mighty poor hands on the prairie. That's their horses just ahead.
They sure staked them a good piece from camp.
Yeah. Lie down, Chester.
What'll we do, Mr. Dillon?
We just wait. Those men are mighty green at this game. I think we can steal their horses without any trouble at all.
Just leave them afoot, huh?
Yeah. Now, look, Chester, when we get those horses, I want you to pick up ours and take the whole bunch out of sight. I'm going to crawl into that tall grass just to the left of the fire there and hide until morning.
Mr. Dillon, why can't I go with you? Every time we get in trouble, you always send me off alone somewheres. You always do everything alone.
Do as I tell you, Chester.
Yes, sir.
You just wait till you hear gunfire. And then ride in fast and bring all the horses.
All right. Good luck.
next morning, I was half burrowed into the ground and covered by blue stem grass, not more than 30 feet from their camp. I could hear their talk all right, but I couldn't see them unless they were on their feet. Shaneways had already gone out after the horses. Pretty soon he was back.
With their ropes, that's what every last one of them.
What'll we do now? You and Shaneways go after them. I'll stay here and guard Doc. Now, hurry up. We've got to get moving.
Come on, Wagner. We'll never find them.
I'm coming. I don't know why he's going. You can have this country, Doc. I don't know why you ever left that soft berth you had on the Tennessee Belle.
Well, I didn't have to leave it. That's more than you can say about New Orleans.
More talk like that, you'll get your throat slashed like a fat shoat, Doc.
Oh, spoken like a true gentleman, Hook. Or whatever your name is.
Now, if you hadn't talked so much in the first place, you wouldn't be where you are now.
Oh, you're a fool, Hook. I might have seen you somewhere, but I sure couldn't connect you with that New Orleans business. Anyway, you're giving yourself away now.
Just how?
Don't you know there wasn't a thing the law could do until you ran? Oh, you'll be caught now for sure, yeah.
Oh, I doubt it.
Why don't you untie my hands? I can't eat this way.
You'll manage.
I let Hook and Doc wrangle on till I figured the other two men had walked about a half a mile from camp. Then I waited till Hook had his back to me, and I stood up slowly, moved quietly forward. Doc saw me and almost spoiled the game, but he caught himself in time and then started another argument with Hook. I was about 15 feet away when Doc suddenly kicked the coffee pot off the fire and all over Hook's legs. And then I moved.
Oh! No, you...
Hit him again, Matt. He can stand it.
No, that's enough.
All right, get up, Hook.
Oh, Marshal, easy now. Don't shoot.
Get Doc untied and be quick about it.
Yes, get me untied and be quick about it. There. Yes, oh, that feels better. Oh, Hook, if I weren't a professional man, I'd punch you right in the eye.
Never mind, Doc. Here, put his gun in your belt.
All right, I'm just mad enough. I'd like to have an excuse to use this. Matt, what are you doing?
You'll see.
Matt. Why, you'll have them back here in no time.
I got a surprise for Hook, but he's not going to like it much.
Huh? Oh,
Where they got the money, Doc?
He in that saddlebag, right over there.
All right, get it. Will you quick?
Hurry up. Them two didn't get very far away.
All right, Doc, if you got the money, get up on the horse. You too, Hook. Come on, quick now. Come on.
Yonder they come. You see him, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, I see him.
They're shooting at us. Well, I'll fix that.
All right, hold it, Chester. They can't hit us from there. Come on, let's ride.
You just gonna ride off and leave them, Matt?
Well, we got you, Doc, and we got Hook, and we got the money.
Oh, but they'll die out here, Marshal. There's none of us know how to live on this prairie.
Well, maybe they'll learn. It's a good way.
You're murdering those men.
Oh, they'll be all right for a few days, Hook. You'll all meet in prison. All right, ease up.
Oh,
we've left.
Well, what do you plan to do about this?
They're full of fight right now, that's all. I don't want to have to kill them to take them. But in a few days, they'll be so hungry and scared we can walk right up to them. Nobody will get hurt that way, neither them or us.
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, what is it, Chester?
Mr. Dillon, later, in a couple of days, let me come back and bring them in.
What?
Just me this time, alone.
Well, now, Chester,
Please, Mr. Dillon.
Okay, Chester. You can do it. Alone.
Thank you, sir. All right, Hook. Ride a little faster there. We ain't got all day.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman Macdonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was especially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were Lawrence Dobkin, Harry Bartell, Ralph Moody, James Nusser, Joe Cranston, Paul Dubov, and Peter Leeds. Parley Bear is Chester, Howard McNear is Doc, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke.
Two episodes of Gunsmoke from the spring of 1953, the second year of a broadcast that would change radio history forever. And that's it for this time around. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for joining me on Gunsmoke Theater as we go back into the archives to play more of the episodes of the radio show that changed everything for the better. Gunsmoke, right here on YouTube.